Venerable Professor Kaul taking the first mathematics class on that day. And we have been celebrating this Foundation Day ever since. The institute itself was established in 1998 by the then state government of Andhra Pradesh. It was established with a huge corpus of hope and confidence and no money. For that, we had to be on our own. That was the message from day one. We had to earn every rupee that we spent on salaries or paying the bills ourselves. And that has continued even now. The message given to us was be as good as any IIT in educating the children, the youth of the country, and be like Stanford was to Silicon Valley and MIT was to Route 128 in promoting research and startups and entrepreneurship culture around here. That's a huge weight on the shoulders of a young institution. We get on to work the best way we could. And today, we have had a reasonably good impact or high impact on graduates, being a very narrow institution focused only on IT, which really means computer science and ECE at the undergraduate level. We have graduated over 2,000 BTechs in computer science and over 1,000 MTechs in computer science and over 450 BTechs in ECE. All these people can be found in the top groups, product groups of companies around the world and in top universities or post-university in research groups or in teaching other universities. Okay, we are started as a research institution. We also had strong research-based program, thesis-based programs, the MS by Research program and PhD program. We have graduated over 450 MS by Research students in computer science and over 50 PhDs in computer science. And that number is about 100 MS by Research students in ECE and 15 to 20 PhDs in ECE. Besides, because of the undergraduate research focus, we have a large diaspora of researchers in different areas, computer vision, NLP, robotics, data sciences, and other areas who started their journey in the respective area in research from this institute and went on to do big things at other universities or research groups and so on. And this has been a particularly special impact of IIIT Hyderabad. We have our graduates, some of them undergraduates, some of them dual degree students, some of them PhD students. Graduates be faculty members at Oxford, at RPI, in INRIA, and latest I heard one of our graduates who got a dual degree from here and a PhD from CMU is now going to join UC Berkeley as a professor there. That's a big thing. And our own PhD graduates are faculty members in IIT Delhi, IIT Jodhpur, Varanasi, Indore, Tirupati, and many places, as well as postdocs and research scientists in top groups in Facebook and other places around the country. Our research itself takes a long time for research impact to happen. Strong research in NLP, computer vision, robotics have been recognized, have come out as companies in information retrieval, in computer vision, speech, and other related areas so far. And current research is getting very strong. We signed a big MOU with Intel, PHFI, the Public Health Federation of India, Foundation of India, the Government of Telangana, and CSIR. We have been working on healthcare related things. It started actually right at the nick of the moment. In January 1st, we started this effort. And when COVID struck, this team actually worked very hard. A couple of projects driven by Intel has been going on in collecting data from across the country, including genomic data with CSIR and who's IGIB and CCMB in the loop. They have been sequencing the genomes and finding out the risk factor based on the genome data also. And our team has been stratifying the risk of different patients based on different parameters using ML-based techniques. And more public health projects for pandemic-related things and other things are in the pipeline. Recently, we were also awarded a technology innovation hub by DST. DST is setting up 25 of them around the country, and we were among the first lot of 17, and we were the only non-IIT and non-IISc in that list in the first 17. Our focus is data-driven technologies. So we expect to set up what we call a data foundation. We want to be the foundation or foundry of all kinds of data, which has become so critical in AI-related, AI-based solution. So this would be data in healthcare for sure. Some of it is already started under a project called Rakshak by DST. We are collecting data from 500 patients in Gandhi Hospital. These are longitudinal data for about 2 weeks for patients, the time they came into the hospital till they leave, all kinds of parameters, multiple entries per day. And this would be a big resource for future medical research. And we also collecting data collected in some Delhi hospitals and other places into one place, and we will be the source for data, including tools, authentication, different solutions based on that. All that will be coming out from our data foundation. We are also part of very big other project. One of them, the notable one, is Bahubhashak, which aims to translate speech to speech, translate from English and Indian languages from one to the other, or one to any of them, speech to speech. So you speak into it in, say, Malayalam, and it comes out on the other end as Telugu. This is the dream. This is a huge work. We are focusing on educational videos and pedagogic material, so that people in different parts of India has access to the top quality equipment available. I mean, top quality lessons available on the internet from everywhere. So this is one project that's been leading, and there are many other projects going on here on the Indian language wiki, transportation transportation data collection around the cities like Hyderabad and so on. We are also very conscious about our role in the society and try to take up projects and activities which are very socially meaningful, which help not only through the technology but also through other means. Academic institutions are really like watering holes. Different sections of the society will get different things from it, and the important thing is for an academic institution to be open to welcome all different entities into its campus, so that they can benefit differently from all of them. One of our biggest contribution has been the academic model itself. Like I said, we were started with lots of hope and no funds. So we run ourselves by ourselves, yet we keep the highest social orientation like any government institution as our goal, as well as be very nimble like most private institutions. We want to combine the two, and we are very gratified to see that this model has been adopted or modified in different ways by other institutions that came up in the last 10 to 15 years, including the 20 new IIITs that MHRD started directly under the PPP model. So we did all these with a lot of help from friends and others. Government of Telangana, state government has been steadfastly behind us, and many friends in academia all over the country and the world have been helping us with whatever way possible. And mostly industry has been very strongly behind us, because we like to say our institution is for, by, and of the society, or for, by, and of the industry. We need the industry support to survive in this financial or administrative model. And because of that, we are always keen to engage with industry in whichever way possible. 22 years is not a long period in the life of academic institutions. We are looking forward to accelerating the pace of activities and being a very strong force in the academic world. I would like to end with one story. This is about a special alumnus. Many years ago, multiple people in the city came to us and said, there is this kid called Venkatesh Potluri. He is visually impaired, he's practically blind, but he is very good. He has taught himself everything, mathematics, physics. He takes notes on his laptop. Somehow you should give him a chance. He's not even allowed to write the JEE because of his impairment. Now many of our faculty members interacted with him and thought maybe we should find a way. And we went all the way up to the governing council, and we created a special channel or way to admit him into a 5-year dual degree research program. This guy did so well here. He finished in 5 years. He was in my computer graphics course. He was not sure that he could take computer graphics, very visual thing. He did okay in it. It's something that he cannot relate to, but he still did okay. He graduated from here. He went to Microsoft Research as a research fellow. There, he just bloomed there even further. I remember Microsoft made a video out of it, Microsoft Research actually. They say when I think the video says when the interviewer turned an interviewee, somebody was interviewing him, and instead of asking him questions, very soon they were trying to learn aspects of visual impairment or accessibility from him. The interview turned out to be education for the interviewer, and he did wonderful things in the accessibility sphere within Microsoft. Now he's a graduate student, PhD student in the University of Washington at Seattle, and I have told him, do all the stuff, conquer the world, come back. We need you in IIIT Hyderabad as a faculty member, pushing these things because India needs these kind of things ever more than anybody else. So I'm really proud of Venkatesh, and I hope he will come back someday. So that's all I have as a welcome message. Now the rest of today's program, I invite Professor Vasudev Verma to conduct the industry session, a panel discussion on human capital powering the future of technology industry. Thank you. Over to you, Vasudev.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Welcome to the panel discussion on this topic of human capital powering the future of tech industry. We are celebrating IIIT Hyderabad's Foundation Day today. So as we do that on any occasion like this, it's very important to connect with the stakeholders and seek their inputs. We at IIIT Hyderabad do that very regularly, and this roundtable is also an attempt in that direction. We want to have a public but a candid discussion focusing on industry perspectives on higher education. And as a moderator, I proposed to organize this discussion about 3 themes, and all the panelists have enthusiastically agreed to this. So this is about you, which is the personification of the industry, me, a personification of new era educational institutions in India, like IIIT Hyderabad, and us, working together in the knowledge ecosystem. I'm so excited about the panel members that we have here for this roundtable. I mean, I don't know whether I look excited. It's very difficult to look excited looking at the camera in a situation like this, but I'm excited, very, very excited. To actually talk to the captains of the industry with diverse experiences, tech leaders who are playing a key role in running the Indian IT juggernaut, responsible for creating so much of wealth and jobs in our society. Okay. I would like to first introduce the speakers in the reverse alphabetical order, because I know the pain of being called in alphabetical order from my childhood. So I will first introduce Vijendran. I'm not too sure whether Vijendran is able to join today, but nevertheless, I'll introduce, and then basically order in which we discuss may change. Vijendran Venkograv is Head of Technology and Strategy at Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions. Vijendran has is actually an industry veteran with several years in organizations like Bosch, Honeywell, ISRO, and so on and so forth. Then we have Sudhir Subbaraman, the Senior Vice President and Business Unit Leader at CGI, where he had already spent more than 11 years. And of course, he wears multiple hats there in CGI as the Head of AirPack Communications, Media and Enterprise Services, most importantly, Head of CSR India. And then also we have Shashi Reddy, a long-timer for all the IIIT community. Like, he's the VP of Engineering at Qualcomm, 16 plus years that he has spent at Qualcomm, and then, of course, more than 3 decades of IT experience. So he had actually a most important thing that I would like to say about Shashi is he initiated, he set up a wireless design team in India for Qualcomm. So that's not a simple job like bringing design to India at those times. So he not only set up this design team, but is also kind of heads it now, and he built more than 3,000 strong team. Like it's also part of the Qualcomm media leadership, but also spends a lot of time with a charity and volunteer organization called United Way, right? So then finally, we also as part of the panel list, we have Ramesh Kaza, the Senior Vice President, CIO, Country Head of IT, and CTO, all these roles at State Street. A lot of roles that he plays. So he's a fintech expert that we all know, and then we all kind of consult when in need. And he has the several years of experience at the senior vice president level in organizations like Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and also like Shashi, he spends lots of time with United Way. In fact, he's currently the honorary board chair of United Way. Okay, so we cannot really ask for anything better for this evening. So thank you all so much for joining and for being here. Okay, as I mentioned before, like we wanted to talk about three themes: industry, academia, and then together as the knowledge ecosystem. So the first one is about the future of work, right? It's about you, right? Or what are the so much is happening in the industry today, and then I know how much each one of you are working so hard and losing sleep at night and coping up with the challenges that are presented by the new pandemic and so on. So I'd like to hear from you. What are your views on the future of work? See, just a little bit of a background before I ask individuals to kind of speak about this. So on one hand, the global business environment is rapidly evolving. So the Indian tech industry is getting more into the global mainstream. We know that these are all the positive things, right? So that, of course, the tech industry in India requires A-class talent, okay? And on the other hand, okay, with all these recent global threats like COVID-19 and the changing work culture, and then, of course, the reduced travel and preference to stay in the home country, hometown at the same time, right? So, like we have the opportunities to work for anyone from anywhere, like people who are actually competing globally. So, in other words, like in a lighter way, if I'm a top triple IT Hyderabad graduate and I can work for Tesla from my hometown in Mapsa, Goa, right? Why should I join Hyderabad Dev Center for State Street or Qualcomm or Bosch? So that's the kind of issues I know that you are facing. So I'd like to hear from you what you think. So maybe first we'll go with Ramesh. Ramesh, can you share
Okay,
your?
great. First, thank you for the invite, Professor Verma, as well as Professor Narayanan. I've been associated to Triple IT in many ways, so it's pretty exciting to come back. So I look forward to this engaging and energizing session. I can learn a lot from the rest of the panel members as well. Let me first congratulate India, IT.
Hello.
4.5 million IT and IT-enabled services people are working remote today. So for those who had any doubts about how ready is India in terms of their ability to work from home and deliver, and then companies individually were doing business continuity tests to see what percentage can work from home, how good is the internet connection and all. The Indian IT Inc. should certainly feel proud that we not only lived up to the expectations of one company, but all the companies that have invested their time and effort to build the capabilities here. So that's a great news for us as a country. Of course, we are going through one of the worst situations on the on the earth in terms of what we witnessed in the last 50 to 100 years. But in that time, the one industry that not only survived but continued to deliver was the IT industry from India. So it should be certainly a proud moment for all of the IT professionals out of this country. So I would like to probably start with the congratulations there. The reality is that this particular situation brought all of us to the same level. Whether it's a person working out of Boston, or a person working out of Dallas or California, or a person working out of Hyderabad or Bangalore, all of us are on the same page now. The people who probably had an edge over being in, let us say, my company's capital headquarters is Boston. So for them to be able to interact with the clients or the internal clients more frequently in person, that's not happening today. So that means that a person either in Bangalore or Hyderabad can also do the same discussions and activities if they were capable and skilled functionally, not just only technically, to be able to directly interact with the client. So that really brought everyone onto the same field. That means it is going to create a lot of new opportunities for the IT professionals across the world. It certainly is going to make a difference. The second one, which popularly people talk about, and I was earlier talking about my affinity to Bangalore. If you take some of these cities, travel has become a major issue. In many cases, people might be spending 3 hours, 4 hours, or maybe even more to come to office and then go back to work. So during this timing situations where people have to work from home, it certainly helped people to be able to be productive. I'm not saying that because they're spending more time, they're delivering more work, but it gave them an opportunity to put more focus on quality, recheck, and double check before anything goes into production or for support to ensure the quality can be improved. So we have not lost productivity. In some cases, we have gained productivity, but this short term certainly helped the employees to be able to deliver effectively from home. And you all know very well that most of the companies are from US. It's not necessarily from US, but across the world. But at least I work for a company that's based out of US, so as Shashi works for a company that's based out of US. And if you look at the statistics, um, the average Americans travel for 16 miles a day to get to work. And many of them are in the 50 miles vicinity. I'm talking about 98% of them are in the 50 miles vicinity. And if you carefully look at the productivity improvements there, because they're all working remote, certainly the companies have reaped huge benefits out of the short-term productivity. So that's actually a good sign. But not so good sign is that at least for the fintech industry, and I can probably talk even for the BFSI industry at large, the banking, financial services, and insurance, a long-term work from home is actually not viable, in my personal opinion, for many roles. You can pick some roles and make them work from home effectively, and even then, they have to probably come at a certain time to come to office and then get engaged with the rest of the employees. But if you broadly look at it, the true learnings for humans is through interactions. And it is such a challenge to learn just by sitting in front of a computer and interacting with people. And for those IT professionals who are there on the call today, you can vouch for it. When you make a call through a computer, you don't usually get into the person side of the person. You straight away get into the work and start talking about the deliverables. So I think for short term, this is good. But for long term, the opportunity for the companies, in my personal view, is to identify those roles that could be permanently working from home so they can gain the benefits of real estate as well as even attracting the best talent from the market, because now you can go hire persons from anywhere in the world. It's not necessary they have to be somewhere very close to your office. So that gives you a very good opportunity for you to get the right capable people. But at the same time, you also have to plan for a better engagement. No good engagement, there is no excitement for people to be working together. And our learnings are always through discussions at a coffee table or at a lunch table or in a meeting room. So I'm truly hoping that as we settle down and then we start to invite employees back to work, by then the company should be able to identify which roles can continue to work remote, which roles we need to bring it in house. So it's going to be very exciting times for all of us. And I'm sure we are all working towards ensuring that we better make a plan in place, including Professor Verma planning on onboarding employees from the college virtually. So we are learning now how to onboard students who have completed their final year, and some of them have done internship with us. So we are onboarding them virtually. We are learning how to actually make that virtual onboarding work. how do we engage with them and all that. So it's quite frankly a completely new learning for the world. And that's why I said everyone is on the same field and the same levels now. So it's a beautiful opportunity for India Inc. to take a lead on many fronts.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramesh. So I'll actually request Sudhir now to share his views on this important issue of the problem that you are facing. So it's about you, Sudhir, remember.
Sure. Thanks, Professor Vasu and Director, for this opportunity. It's an honor to be part of this discussion, and hopefully you can hear me okay. Good. So I won't repeat. Ramesh made some excellent points. I'll just try to add on and complement what he has sort of put in play here already. So the way CGI works is we are sort of a consulting company that cuts across multiple sectors. So we have a view that's that's sort of in very different from how banking sees the world versus how transportation or telecommunication sees the world. So what I want to first do is just add on to what Ramesh said in terms of life isn't very different from what it was from pre-COVID or post-COVID. It's a question of how you respond, rebound, and reinvent yourself after the COVID hit you, right? So it isn't like suddenly we start running backwards or we wake up on the wrong side of the bed. It isn't as dramatic as you think it is or the media is making it to be. Yes, there are changes, there are adaptations that you have to have. But the first thing I kind of wanted to bring us down to earth in terms of that it isn't about a complete dramatic reversal of life. There are changes. The question is how you respond, rebound, and reinvent yourself. So I'll sort of elaborate what I'm just talking about very quickly. So we do this annual survey, very detailed survey with our customers, about 1,500 customers across the world in different sectors. And we kind of look at what are the top themes, in terms of that emerges out from their surveys and so on. These are fairly detailed surveys. It's not just throwing a one-page survey. We actually sit with them, spend hours, get the right feedback. And we did about half the surveys before COVID, and we did half the surveys after COVID, right? And you would expect magical answers coming out of post-COVID surveys. And there are certain tweaks, but it isn't that the companies are completely redoing their strategies just because COVID hit them. The fundamentals are the same, and that's what we're seeing. So just in case of what emerged in the top 3, top 4, focus on digital transformation. To sort of Ramesh's point, that's sort of the focus, and institutions such as IIIT continue to fuel talent that helps focus on the digital transformation. We expected that will slow down, given the fact that you still need to have a lot more focus on your legacy, operations, and costs, and so on and so on. We'll expect it. In fact, that actually went up by 10 to 15% points in terms of wanting to accelerate digital transformation. Why? Because there's more reason to reach out to our customers, more reason to optimize customer experience. So that became number 2 priority in terms of accelerating digital transformation. Right. So customer experience is always fundamental, whether it's banking, whether it's telecommunications, whether it's transport. Improving and enriching customer experience is fundamental to what industry does. Right. And that will never change just because of COVID or lack of COVID. That continues to be the focus. Right. Now, because of COVID, there was a little less focus on optimization of cost, automation, tooling, of those things. Now, clearly, if I need to spend more money on digital transformation, if I need to spend more money on optimizing customer experience, I have to really step up my operations in terms of automation. So that moved up. It was number 5. It moved up to number 3 post-COVID. Surprising, one thing that really shot up. It was always there for somebody like in Ramesh's area. Cybersecurity is something that they have to deal in, day out, right? It's nothing new to them. But what COVID has really brought out is focus on cybersecurity even more, because a lot of people are working from home. We can't sit and monitor cameras. When a lot of the way banking works is you have dedicated space in offices where people actually are monitored in terms of who comes in, who goes out. But now everybody's working from home. How do you ensure and protect assets, data, people remotely, given now everybody's working from home? So cyber's definitely moved up, right? So these are, my point is that it isn't that's a dramatic shift in our lives. There are tweaks, And I think what happens is, in that context, we as industry need to figure out how to then help our clients quickly respond, quickly adjust, but also then come up with strategies that'll help them in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months perspective, right? And the reason I'm sort of emphasizing this because is also how academia needs to see this as well, right? It isn't one flavor that stays throughout our entire lives. It's a question of how well you're in tune with the market, how well you're in tune with what's happening from a situation perspective. So in that context, for example, I just quote a couple of challenges we see from talent coming onto our industry, right? So in academic purposes, academia, we propose a lot of open source software. We are like all over GitHub, whatever open source you find, you use it, build it, right? As soon as our graduates come onto our CGI or any other institution, we work so hard to not let them use GitHub or any of the open source, because that becomes a significant security threat, right? So it's one of those great things in academics becomes a big challenge from an industry perspective, because you have to respect security of our clients. You have to respect security when you use third-party software. They become by definition open source. So your intellectual property gets compromised. So graduates are used to that, right? So we spend months and months of education from a cybersecurity perspective, that these are things that you are very used to, but you cannot in an industry context, right? The other one is, in terms of, one thing that's very interesting, given so much focus on digital, and I'm pretty sure Ramesh can attest to it, there's still a lot of mainframe, there's still a lot of COBOL, there's still a lot of legacy, what we call, right? People hate to work in those areas because we've so much propagated digital, AI, ML, and everything else. Absolutely, that's the future. But you cannot forget the beginnings. You cannot forget where we start, right? And it's very important to appreciate those systems that have been the workhorse and still continue to and will continue to be in the future as well. So you got to appreciate those technologies, not because you want to work on them. That's not the point. But understand the challenges, understand the context. Otherwise, you would be coding technologies or be developing technologies that would be irrelevant in the scheme of things. So I just want to sort of bring these points up, Professor Verma, in terms of, sort of the broader perspectives from a macro, pre-COVID and post-COVID, but also some interesting challenges we're facing, in the context of the talent and how the institutions are working with us. So I'll sort of pause here.
So, thank you so much, Sudhir. Wonderful perspective. So I now request Shashi. Shashi, you know what we are interested in, knowing your problems. What are you losing sleep on? So
thanks, Professor Verma, and sorry for getting into the call a little late. I had some technical issues being from a technology company, but yeah. Quick thing. I think when all this thing happened in March, I think we had some discussions saying maybe we should encourage, before the lockdown, we should start encouraging folks to start working from home. Myself and my colleague from the Bangalore office who leads the Bangalore design center, we have about 10,000 engineers in India, and we started thinking, how can we do this? We can do more than 40 to 50% work from home versus what we could achieve. But I think 2 weeks later, we had no choice but forced to not have more than 5% in the office, because that's all we got the passes to get people into the offices. And I think that's where it started. If I look at it, I think how we adapt that to those kind of abrupt changes, I think without kind of losing productivity. When I look back, being a semiconductor company and being an embedded company, a lot of things have to be done in our labs. A lot of testing happens in our labs. We have huge base stations, infrastructure, a lot of development boards as well in these labs. So it was a huge challenge, and definitely it was a big concern when this lockdown was happened, and we had a meeting with our the CXOs, both the CEO, CTO, everybody. What will happen to some of our projects? A lot of some of the parts of the roadmap are completely executed in India, and do we miss those customer deadlines and all that? So it was a huge challenge. I mean, actually we were equally confused, but at least we tried to put a brave face in front of them and said we will manage it, we'll get it done, and we'll meet all those. I mean, honestly, none of us were really confident when we said that, but I mean, by putting a lot of planning in place. And I think three things when I look back. One is the connectivity. How do we, I know there is connectivity is definitely an issue in India, but how do we kind of work around it, do more of the stuff in the cloud than on the client, basically kind of move that into the cloud and do that more in our servers in the office, and have, even if it is a small, I mean, a lower bandwidth connectivity to your last mile, can we get more things done? I think that was one kind of philosophy or one kind of strategy we looked at. And I think there were systems in place, but in some cases we were not doing it because we never tested this kind of major work from home method, because you may have 5 to 10% work from home in a regular day, but not 95% of it. So the other part of it is obviously the productivity tools. How do we kind of, I mean, not need to go to the office, but be able to collect logs and analyze them, look at the issues and download things. So those were things that were already kind of there, but wanted to kind of beef up those areas and be able to do that. So I think today, if I look at it in the last 6 months, we had three major chips which we were able to bring up and execute and get them to the customers. I mean, in the last 6 7 months at different tiers though, but one is the mid-level and another is at a lower tier. But be able to execute on three major chips and be able to launch and get them to customers, I think that was a major achievement. I mean, definitely a lot of, like you asked, a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of concerns whether we can do it or not. I think the main thing I look at it when I look at the experience, what will be, I mean, a lot of discussions on what could be the future of work from home, or future of work, not from work from home. But I can see there are definitely areas which we could definitely, I mean, rethink about what is an office or what is work. Because when people used to come and ask me, next 3 months I would want to work from home, most of the time, unless there is a health issue or something like that, it's most of the time it's not. I mean, the answer was no. But today I may not be in the same situation. There are a lot of things you could do. I mean, that's something which this has been proven. I mean, you look at it with the better tools, better connectivity. If you can beef up some of the things in India, I think more and more can be done. I mean, your question of can I be in Goa and can be done and be working for Tesla or Apple in San Francisco? I mean, why not? I mean, you can not in Goa, but some small place near Gorakhpur and do that as well. I think that's quite possible. I mean, I know there are a few other people in the panel who, I mean, we talked about, I know Ramesh talked about it as well. I mean, is it feasible enough? But I think there are areas like regular execution, things which we do on a daily basis and stuff like mostly repetitive tasks and things like that. I don't think you need to be in a sophisticated buildings and do that, because a lot of things you can trigger, automate, and execute remotely. But there are other things in the organization when we are doing innovation or ideation, designing new architecture, where people need to work and sit down and discuss, debate, talk to each other, and build those kind of new ways of doing things, or talking about new roadmaps, or a technology discussion. I mean, those can still be done in a virtual thing, but it can never be like being together, having those breaks and coffee breaks, sitting in a conference room, and be able to talk to each other both in the room and outside as well. I mean, I also asked some of my engineers. I know some of them in a little more thing, and say, what is that you're really missing from work? I think, yeah, they bring about a lot of things, but one of the thing is the gossip in the during the lunch times and the tea times. I think that has definitely been missed as well. I mean, I feel that. I mean, I think in that way, I'm not saying it's important, but that can also keep your mental health and being a social animal. I mean, being in a virtual environment, not able to interact, is not the most ideal way of working, I would say. I think that's definitely something to look at. I think on a longer term, I would say it's more of a hybrid model. Can I work for a couple of days, 2, 3 days, where there's a lot of interaction? Maybe I do Monday and Tuesday in the office, and then I may want to have to do some individual things or more individual contribution to the project, where I can kind of sit at home or sit in a different area and then do that in the next 2 days. So I think I can see that it's getting evolved. Whether we don't need to force them to be in the office, but it can create an environment where people can switch between home and office as needed and work as a team, and we still have the team dynamics and be able to kind of coordinate and cooperate with each other. So I think that's kind of what I think, Professor. I think that's my view here.
Thank you so much, Shashi. First of all, congratulations on those 3 chips, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Necessity is the mother of all innovation, and then we all went in various innovative ways to cope up, but also excel in extraordinary situations. And we have such a situation now. Technology is preventing Vijendran from joining. So, being from such a high-end research and technology group that we have in this panel, we reinvented something. In the last 5 minutes, we thought we'll actually get Vijendran's thoughts, ideas, transformed into some other body, and then that body speaks out for you. So I now request Professor P.J. Narayanan to talk about, to actually lend his voice to Vijendran's thoughts. PJ?
Thank you, Vasu. This is not as dramatic as Vasu made out to be. In fact, Vijendran has been kind enough to send his views over email, and I'm only reading because if I try to do some Parakaya Pravesh or something into him and I try to get his views, I'll mess it up so badly. So I will read it. Too bad he cannot be seen, but he is watching this whole thing. That's what he said. So he has sent his views on future of work. So I'm going to read him, quote him. In my view, while we are getting into more and more global mainstream, we will indeed be focused on managing the dynamics in global technologies. The future of human capital development is going to be innovation-driven education, and the academic institution should be well geared up for the same. The success and sustenance of getting into global mainstream is highly dependent on the strength and quality of human capital that we produce. As such, I see a highly skewed human capital focus, which is very prevalent now. For a robust human capital development, the 4 important factors, namely fundamental research focus, applied research, innovation, and a good balance of demand and supply. All the 4 are highly interconnected and equally important. To illustrate with an example, the best one would be the recent developments in AI. While there are phenomenal developments in the applications of AI to various contexts, very little has happened on the fundamental understanding of how the black box works. This kind of fundamental research is best done only by academic institutions. Higher education institutions play a central role in nurturing innovation and directly influences the capacity of the country's innovation system, and is characterized by its top graduates, cutting-edge research, and vigorous technology transfer. The greatest difficulty lies in fostering linkages between innovators and stakeholders, that is, among enterprises, universities, research institutes, and governments. We still have to build more capacity to perform the R&D that can contribute to knowledge capital. Over the past 3 decades, there has been a much less emphasis on fundamental and applied research and an overemphasis on highly imbalanced innovation focus. From the current situation of COVID and work from home, etc., I see this as a sort of transient in a slightly longer time scale. We will indeed be returning back to normal in a matter of couple of years at most. I don't see an impact of the current situation in building a long-term strategic human capital. Yes, on a short-term scale, there will indeed be some disruptions in all aspects of human capital building, but that will settle down. We can look at the current situation as a sort of reset, and there are opportunities to become strong by capitalizing this reset. What is of primordial importance is to strategize the four aspects of fundamental applied research, innovation ecosystem, and balancing demand and supply. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Such a wonderful text-to-speech system. Our AI system should actually learn from it very quickly. All right, so we talked about future of work so far. So let's actually focus on future of learning. So it's basically us, personification of new era educational institutions in India. So, I mean, we have seen like building human capital for long-term success and creating leadership in technology roles in this dynamic world. So what kind of personality traits, problem-solving skills, and technology background is needed in current situation, right? So this is the focus. So but one thing I wanted to emphasize here is that all training is not the same. Right? In IIIT Hyderabad, we believe in giving a learning experience to all our students that involves deeper exploration of problems and expertise on problem-solving skills. Not only that, understanding why they are doing what they are doing. Okay? Not just gaining knowledge, but also adding knowledge. Right? So research is essentially embedded in every program here, including the non-research programs. So we also believe in preparing students for not just for their first job, but for the last job. Right? So my request to you is, please look at us, okay, and tell us what else or more that a new era education institutions like IIIT Hyderabad should do. Maybe I'll actually request now the change in the order. So I'll actually ask PJ to read the Vijendran's ideas now. And then, but I also request others to limit themselves to one to 2 minutes time, because I need to also be playing the role of keeping time, which I really hate. But yeah, Vijay.
You have to unmute.
Vijay, I think you are on mute.
Yeah, I'm reading Vijendran's text again. The future of learning or human capital development should be linking the four aspects of the ecosystem, namely fundamental applied research, innovation, and managing the demand of supply dynamics. Or more broadly, conception, implementation, product making, and marketing. As such, it is currently heavily mixed up. Ideally, every education institution should have the flavor of all four with a well-strategized and defined link connecting each other. Every education institution starting from graduation should have a flavor of all the four. In fact, a highly customized course on innovation should be mandatory course that one should take at the undergraduate level. In my view, it is currently skewed without equal emphasis on all the four. To the best of my knowledge, Tier 1 and Tier 2 education institutions are not having such a mandatory course during undergraduate and graduate programs. Some institutes offer it as an elective or optional coursework. This should change. In fact, could go to an extent in which the mandatory coursework on a highly customized innovation should be based on the nature of the branch. Based on the nature of the branch should be introduced. To successfully drive R&D and innovation, education institutions and the engineers need not only focus on technical and engineering know-how, but also develop professional competence, communication skills, critical thinking, global mindset, multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary collaboration, and an understanding beyond the available knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Pijan. Of course, thank you, Vijender. I now request Shashi to share his views on the problem of future of learning.
Thank you, Professor. A couple of things. As being part of Qualcomm for quite some time, and also with the interactions with IIIT for the last many years, as we have done many projects together and also involved in many different aspects. And also, one more aspect as well. I think as a parent who had my both children go through IIIT, I think I can have another view as well. One is in third year now, the other one passed out in 2015. So I think I can have another view as a parent where I can give some feedback or whatever. So as a parent-teacher meeting, maybe. Quick thing, I thought, knowing IIIT very closely, I think a lot of research-oriented and a lot of things which are being done, I think, are very commendable. I wish more and more colleges in India are kind of adapting or looking at the way how IIIT looks at the courses or how they bring in knowledge and impart the knowledge to the students. It's not just mainly kind of more like a textbook kind of stuff, but a lot of more research oriented and a lot more knowledge oriented as well. So a few things I look at it is in the recent things with our experience today, there is a lot we could do in the accelerated remote learning because it doesn't have to be just a classroom and a teacher professor. We could put more resources in the cloud or in the area so that there is an accelerated learning for the student at his own or her own pace and their capability as well. So can the institutions look at putting more of that kind of tools where the students can do more remote learning or by themselves in some areas before they kind of have this not eliminating the regular thing, but kind of be augment the learning which we have in the classroom, but also have other resources which we could plan. I think there are definitely some resources, but that's an area where I think the institutions can look more in doing that. And then what I also felt was some of the analytics you can look at and see how can we make it a little more personal based, because we have so much of AI and ML and person-based analytics. Even though there are 100 students in the school or in a class, can we kind of analyze and be able to see how we can kind of connect between the institution, the professor, and the people, make it more seamless using maybe even a third, some intermediary robot in the middle to kind of give a little more personal-based learning to that. And maybe I'm a weaker student, I may need a little more steps there to get there, whereas there is a student which has, 9+ GPA who can do faster and things like that. So is there some kind of a personnel-based AI kind of things that could be brought in? That's something which I thought could be, I was just thinking of a futuristic way if we are talking about future of learning. So the other one is definitely, I think things are happening in some of the institutions like yours, but clearly emphasize more on project-based learning. If I'm looking at a CV and AI project, which I think we are working with you guys as well on that. If students are doing it, can it be a more project-based instead of being a text-based only? The curriculum is important and also the textbooks are important, but can we make it and put it a little more project-based, which are real-life projects, which see the end of the tunnel and be able to be used by the people. So those kind of learnings can help the students grasp and understand more. I think those are kind of three things I thought. And apart from that, I think in this era, soft skills is very, very important because now we are kind of connected remotely and we need to interact with people more on conference calls or through written skills and basically oral skills. So soft skills, bringing people up, getting students to be able to interact and bring their ideas together and be able to communicate when they are not physically there is also quite important. I think those are kind of some of my ideas and points for that
Shashi, I cannot agree more, because these days the etiquette of being in Zoom or Teams is more important than how you dress up. So
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely,
that is
so
true.
very,
That's
very
true.
important.
Yeah. All we need is that. Yeah, that's true.
Right. So, Sudhir, can I request you to share your views briefly?
Absolutely, Professor. So I'll keep it brief to 3 points, just as an add-on to what others have already said. So one, I don't have that much proximity working with the institution. So if I am stating something that's obvious, but just my broader perspective. So one is as an academic institution, which is focused on technology. It's very important to emphasize domain aspects as well. So each of these graduates will eventually go work for some company that specializes in a sector eventually. It could be manufacturing, it could be chips, it could be banking, it could be telecommunications. So I think what happens when the graduates come into an institution like us, all they can think about is technology, right? But technology is just a means to the end, and that's the real truth. And technology changes every 6 months. So I think the key is, yes, they need to graduate with absolute competencies from a technology perspective. But I think there is so much of that in their blood that it is important to understand that it is a means to solve a problem for a given sector. Right. And so in that context, I would appeal back to both the students and as well as the industry in sort of ensuring that there is regular dosage of that context being given. And in that context, two soft skills that's definitely I would ask. One is sort of empathy. This is not sympathy, empathy, putting yourselves in the context. And this is an important skill in this context because with more automation, more AI, more AML coming into play, a low-level thinking, low-level task will go away. So which means that your brain or your skill is only going to be left for thinking that is far more critical. And the only way you can do that is if you're far more empathetic and far more consultative. So it's very important that institutions sort of propagate that soft skill of have I really thought through from the point of view of the customer, from the point of view of multiple stakeholders, before I assume the technology is there to solve it, right? And today we jump to it very quickly. We try to solve it very quickly and so on. And the third thing I would also want to add on to that from, again, a soft skill perspective is persistence and grit. So we see that many of the engineers who come to industry come with a lot of great ideas, a lot of fantastic ideas. But ideation, as you know, is only 2% of the effort. The rest of the effort is come in terms of persistence and so on. So clearly, we owe a lot of that investment from an industry perspective to make that happen. But there is so much built up in people's mind on ideas, everything, that there is a fallacy, and there's a lot of people who get disappointed as soon as they come in. So just to recap, focus on domain, focus on, clearly in terms of being consultative and empathy as part of the curriculum itself. And then lastly, teach them to be resilient, teach them to be persistent, because that is the most, not just personal skill, but it's a very important pertinent skill given the life challenges you're going to face. So I'll sort of stop here, Professor.
That absolutely fantastic points, Sudhir. Thank you so much. Ramesh, your views?
All great points. I will summarize that to three things that probably was not directly discussed, but between Shashi and Sudhir, as well as what I heard from Vijendran, all great points. So I'll probably start with this thought that given the fact you don't need an industry person now to come physically to a triple IT to talk to your students, they can virtually connect now. That's probably one area you can start to look for. Invite industry leaders to have an interaction with your students at a very early stage of their career, be it at the end of their second year completion or third year. Then what happens is the students will start to get to a different wavelength apart from the subjects, theory, practicals, and exams to the reality of what is happening in the industry. You can cluster them based upon who would like to look for a technology kind of role, to a financial services, to a manufacturing. You can actually cluster them And many industry leaders are very keen to partner and teach. Now, you can pick people from anywhere in the world, not necessarily from Hyderabad. You can as well pick people from California to have a session with your students. That could be a life-changing opportunity for students to learn from the industry leaders. So that's one point I would probably emphasize on. The second one is many a times the students are always thinking of a job. I will complete this year, I'll get a job, or I'll complete it here, I'll get a job, work 2 years, then I'll go to US to do my MS. Somewhere I think this mindset needs to be addressed from the first year of engineering itself. So I think that opportunity is actually with you, the teachers, to make them realize that it's not job, it's a career you have to build. It's not necessarily that you should work for a company. Even if you are having a startup, that's a career for you. So how do you think of a career? By putting right passion is very important than trying to get into a job. And unfortunately our media also emphasizes on so and so person got so and so job for this many lakh salary, and I really get worried because they convert the dollars of what they're getting in US and then put it here just to get that kind of TRP ratings, which is so unfortunate, and it gets into the minds of the students. So that could be the second one I will share. The third one, which Shashi touched on it and Sudhir also spoke about it, is the need for soft skills is extremely high now. How do you ensure that your passion that you previously exhibited by looking into your manager's eyes or in a conference room, you're able to get all of that into your voice and be able to show that passion in a talk is not an easy thing. Previously, you were standing or sitting in front of your manager or a group of people. It's okay for you to show your body language in whatever the way it is, it doesn't matter. Now, it could be a one to one or it could be a group discussion. That means that people need to learn how to bring all of that passion in their voice to be able to make that other person believe, whether it's a client or a stakeholder or a manager or a team member, that you are really passionate to work on this. So do tell them that in connection to okay to fail, because this mindset for the employee is I cannot fail, because if I fail the subject, I will not clear the degree. So they carry the same mindset to work and said, I cannot fail in this project. I don't want to give it a try. If I fail, most likely my manager will not promote me. So do teach them it's okay to fail, and the more number of times they fail, they will actually succeed better. Those are my 3 points for you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you so much. There is another theme, but we ran out of time. But then what I would like to do is, I would like to ask you to give a final message in the context of the knowledge ecosystem that we live in. So the knowledge ecosystem of universities producing talent, and then industry that is consuming the talent, and then the government, which will ultimately kind of enrich its entire society because such players exist, like industry and education institutions being part of the society, right? So in this context, I would like each one of you to actually take maybe use one or two sentences to express your views, not as representatives of your organizations, forget about your roles and organization, but what would you suggest to nurture this knowledge ecosystem? Okay, so please, maybe we'll start with again Ramesh, and then go to PJN at the end. But then PJN can select the best sentence from the text that he has. So Ramesh.
So my view, personal view, is that now that the learnings are all standardized across the world, anybody can log in and learn something, be it technology, non-technology. It's a great opportunity for the professors to come and take an internship with the companies like us, and not just the students. And just imagine that if a bunch of professors come and work for a Qualcomm or a CGI or a Bosch or a State Street or a Bank of America, just think of what they will carry back to their students. Now, instead of giving internship to 4 students or 10 students, the professor should be able to influence 30, 40, 100 students. It can make a huge difference in their learnings. So we certainly welcome that kind of thought. And many industries are very keen to support those professors who are into the regular teaching, but their R&D can be done with a company of their choice and bring their learnings back to the students. That could be one statement I could say share with all of you today.
No, fantastic. Thank you so much, Shashi.
Thanks, Professor. So I think one point, if I had to pick, I could see that the increased competition and also the change in the technology, landscape is a big challenge for any company or for any of us, I think, to produce the most competitive products. I think one way is we can have collaboration between companies to do that, because any one company is not has the capability to do it. But I think managing the partnership between companies is not easy, because each one have their own interests, and it never these things will never are successful in a longer term, because each of the companies have it. But I think that's where I feel the collaboration between the companies and the corporates and the colleges or the institutions really can play a role. I think that's definitely one role where we can see how we can come up with a very practically relevant projects, and also anything which could be scientifically very important, practically relevant, and also very important to have these key projects which we could share and be able to come up with more newer trends and technology trends. Sometimes these companies may not be able to focus on that, because at the end of the day they are driven by P&L. We will not be able to have the resources to do it. I think that's where I think the collaboration between in research between companies and institutions will really help. I think that's my key point here.
Thank you so much, Sudeep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Professor. So slightly different perspective. So I think we've seen technology as a means to create shareholder value. I think it's about time that we use technology as a means to create more society value. So it's in the context of social good that we as industry, we as educational institutions, and as students need to give our small bit, whatever small bit that is, to help close that social divide that we have, right? So I think technology for good is a big topic now. It's happening within NASSCOM in terms of promoting AI for good and others and so on. So I think it's our accountability and responsibility as industry, as academics, to promote not technology as a pure academic, but how can we actually make a difference to the society in which we live and work. So that my appeal or my takeaway to the group is think broader, think bigger, and how can you make a technology for good around you and the people that touch your lives. So that's my quick pitch, Professor.
Thank you so much. PJ, what is the best sentence that you could figure out?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Vijayendran doesn't have the opportunity to react to what has happened here. But from his statement, it's very clear that he talks about extreme attention should be given to the 4 aspect ingredient that he mentioned, which is basic research, applied research, innovation, and balancing supply and demand. Education institutions should give equal importance to all of them. Future of human capital need and development is going to be highly innovation driven, but innovation should not be looked at in isolation, but as a highly interconnected process. Thank you.
So thank you so much. And then, I really cannot express my deep gratitude and, for all the panel members, Ramesh, Sudhir, Shashi, Vijayendran, and our favorite byrunner, Pijan, who is actually Vijayendran retired at, Pijan is the one who's running between the wickets. So thank you so much, all of you. Wonderful, and I hope we also had little fun. Some fun conducting this roundtable. So thank you all. Thanks for joining. And now I hand over to Professor Vishal Garg, who would be taking to the whole discussion about alumni activities and the messages from alumni of IIIT Hyderabad. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vasu. And hello, everyone. Congratulations to all IIIT Hyderabad family on our foundation day. The IIIT alumni has been growing organically from our humble beginning in 2002 when the first batch graduated. I'm happy to inform you that now we have a strong and connected base of more than 5,000 alumni who we are immensely proud of. Our alumni are young but very involved with the institute in many capacities. As observers in the Governing Council, creators and dispensers of Alumni Fund, mentors to students, collaborators to our research, supporting entrepreneurs, and now also getting on various advisory panels of the institute. They are now becoming partners in the institute for shaping and growing IIIT Hyderabad. So today we are very fortunate to have Vipul Kedia with us, our second batch alumnus who is very actively engaged with us. Vipul represents the alumni as an observer member of IIIT Hyderabad's Governing Council. He is one of the moving forces for the concept and creation of Alumni Fund. He graduated with BTech in CSE with honors in data engineering in 2003 from IIIT Hyderabad. He went on to pursue his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and joined Apple, an edtech startup, in 2006, and he was the first employee and is part of the leadership team as Chief Data and Platform Officer. Apple successfully went IPO last year and crossed 1 billion USD in market cap earlier this year. So I invite Vipul to elaborate on the Alumni Fund activities.
Thank you, sir. Respected faculty members, institute staff, invited guests, and fellow alumni and current students who would be viewing this program. Congratulations to everyone on the 22nd Foundation Day of our institute. Personally, it's a great privilege for me to be speaking with you all today, to update everyone on some initiatives taken by the alumni to give back in minuscule measure to our beloved institute, which is a small token of our gratitude towards what we have received from our alma mater. Being a student of IIIT Hyderabad was a journey of self-discovery and a life-changing experience for many of us. As a young alumni of the institute, we wanted to ensure that no one is deprived of the opportunity to study at IIIT Hyderabad for want of funds. It was with this aim that within 4 years of the first batch graduating from the institute, we put in place an alumni fund in 2006 to support all students who needed financial assistance to pursue their studies at IIIT Hyderabad. It was perhaps the earliest in any academic institution's history that alumni set up a structured and sustainable initiative to give back so early on in the institute's journey. The fund itself was envisaged as a self-sustained initiative with a unique pay-forward mechanism suggested by Professor Sangal, where each beneficiary gave back at least enough to support one student at the current fee level once the beneficiary had a steady source of income. Over the years, more than 1.1 crore has been collected through alumni contributions and contribution of caution deposit by the graduating students. We are proud to have supported 46 students till date with more than 1.2 crore paid in fees, of which 65 lakhs has been returned to the fund by 22 beneficiaries. 7 students are being supported currently. The fund is self-sustaining with contributions from the beneficiaries enough to support future students at the current rates. During the current circumstances due to COVID, the fund also enabled the institute to offer staggered fee payment to students who needed short-term relief. In a separate fundraising initiative, the alumni set up and raised over USD 40,000 through the IIIT Hyderabad Alumni Foundation USA. The foundation has tax exemption status in the US and is also eligible for matching grants by several leading corporates in the US. This creates a long-term sustainable institution for supporting our institute. The funds gathered are intended to be used to further support student scholarships, stipends for conferences, travel to conferences, and other alumni activities. Some of the alumni also came together last year to set up the IIIT Hyderabad Alumni Angels, with an aim to invest in startups of our fellow alumni and play a role in creating a greater entrepreneurship ecosystem in the institute. The first investment by this group was made in Remido, a company in medical tech founded by 3 IIIT Hyderabad alumni. The institute has also engaged and involved alumni in multiple ways, starting from inducting alumni in its apex body, the governing council, to having regular interactions with the alumni through initiatives like alumni meets across different cities, invited alumni talks, and involving them with the research initiatives. Alumni also provide student counseling and mentorship and are active in mentoring our CIE startups as well. Going forward, the alumni will also participate in various advisory panels of the institute, as Professor Vishal mentioned. These initiatives are just a start. We realize the responsibility we have as alumni towards growing the IIIT Hyderabad brand and ensuring that the institute achieves much greater heights. As Professor Raj Reddy often says, the institute belongs to the alumni. You are the ones who will have a permanent association with it throughout your lives and will always remain its alumni. IIIT Hyderabad alumni are now part of some of the top companies globally in driving them towards technology leadership and success. Many have taken the entrepreneurial route and have set up successful companies of their own. We are now in a position to make greater contributions and contribute more meaningfully towards institution building. As the alumni, it is our endeavor to support the institute in more ways, helping create more infrastructure, attracting top faculty, participating in more research conferences, etc. The alumni are committed to working with the institute to meet some of these requirements with funds and any other support that might be required. We take inspiration from alumni of several top academic institutions in India and global who have played a key role in helping their alma maters achieve greater heights. We are still young when compared to many of these institutions, but our aspirations are high. We may have started small, but I assure you that we will get there. We will be a strong alumni body who will support the institute for all its needs as it scales to greater heights and achieves its aspiration of being one of the top technology universities globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipul. Thanks for giving us an insight into the alumni fundraising activities. Another alumnus who is joining us today is Pramod. Pramod Yalupa graduated with BTech in CSE in 2008. He studied at IIM Rohtak and worked at an industrial IoT startup before founding Focus Labs, which provides supply chain intelligence solutions. Pramod is actively engaged with IIIT startups and organizes bi-weekly meetings with IIIT entrepreneur community. I now invite Pramod to introduce the IIIT Alumni Speak series.
Many thanks, Vishal sir, for the introduction. Respected faculty, institute staff, dignitaries, invited guests, fellow alumni and students, my hearty congratulations to IIIT family on the eve of 22nd Foundation Day. It is a great privilege to speak at this august platform. Similar to birds rejuvenating in the shade of banyan tree, a student's time at IIIT prepares them for their lifelong flight ahead, or the last job, as Professor Vasudev Verma has put few minutes earlier. IIIT Hyderabad has more than 5,000 alumni who can proudly call this place their home. It introduces choices to students at an early juncture as a part of the curriculum. The choice prepares us to try on a variety of roles in life and try to excel in it. And it comes as no wonder that some of the alumni went on to lead next generation platforms at world's top tech companies. Some are continuing the cycle of learning and teaching as researchers and as professors. Many started companies across globe taking the innovation forward and generating employment. Let me take a moment here to highlight efforts of Interupit and Condura, both startups founded by IIIT alumni who are working in the areas of future of learning, empowering students in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities to be the problem solvers of the future. They are leveraging the power of digital, connecting the students with mentors in Tier 1 cities. Some of the alumni have become angel investors, as Vipul has mentioned, reinvesting in IIIT startups. Some are serving and leading the country as civil servants. Some have become published writers, special mention to authors of practical natural language processing book, which is doing great currently. Some have taken other fascinating routes and followed their passion as photographers, dietitians, and artists, to name a few. Long after we have flown from the banyan tree, the Institute still beckons us and celebrates our success through the monthly newsletter and eagerly awaited alumni feature blogs. In continuing to give us a platform to speak and explore is yet another delightful endeavor, the Alumni Speak series. I'm happy to announce the YouTube series exclusively for the alumni. This is an avenue to share their experiences and discuss ideas that ignited their passion. Greater interaction within the alumni will have added benefits like visibility to problems that they are working on and attract like-minded problem solvers, help identify AAA startups that can help with the problems in their line of work, provide access to challenging opportunities at fellow alumni where fellow alumni are working on. We encourage more alumni to come forward and interact on Alumni Speak series. Please write to alumni portal for more details. Over the coming weekends, the Alumni Speak series will have some of our distinguished alumni speak about their journey and how IIIT Hyderabad shaped their flight. It will help reinforce the message to the current and future students that the possibilities are endless. As a part of Alumni Speak series, I am excited to announce that Karandeep, who is heading Facebook Workplace, would speak about his experience setting up next generation digital workplace on September 6th. And Dr. Mukta Prasad, who is working as computer vision researcher at Magic Leap, will speak about ideas that keep her awake at night on September 13th. The time is 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening, Indian Standard Time. Details of the interaction will be available on IIIT website, alumni portal, social media channels. Looking forward to meeting you digitally. Please stay safe.
Thank you, Pramod. Thank you for your entrepreneurial efforts and for setting the stage for the Alumni Speak. This is a really exciting time for us as we are making our plans to grow and flourish. We are fortunate to have stellar alumni who are deeply engaged with us at all steps. We look forward to your continued involvement in charting the course and making history. This brings us to the conclusion of today's event. We have many more exciting events spanning the month of September, including 4 distinguished talks by visionaries like Professor Raj Reddy, Dr. Vinsar, and others. Please stay tuned. The event schedule will be updated on our website. Thank you and take care.